What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we are going to be updating our life skill tier list for 2026. And with the Olvia Academy that just released, I figured people were like, oh, let's go do that. And then after that, people probably want to know what makes the most silver or like what is the most fun. So we are going to be updating our tier list, and the criteria that I want to talk about is basically what makes the most silver, and you know what should you do whether you're a beginner or returning player or end game player. And I'll also talk about it in terms of what's kind of fun and what's annoying to do. So with that said, I have a 2025 video, and there's been a lot of changes since the last video, so I figured, hey, let's just update it. All right, so let's just go in order of what the thing has. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to do this yourself, and it's just a tier list maker. So anyway, with that said, starting with Alchemy. I think Alchemy is actually very profitable. It's something that everyone should do, and it's also something that takes some time because there isn't mass alchemy the same way as there is cooking. But it's also not really super beginner friendly because I think it's just slower to collect all the materials. And if you're a new player, you're going to see something like, let me show you. Where would it be? Down here. An alchemist is probably looking at this like, what is all this? And then, yeah, it's kind of overwhelming. I don't think it's new player friendly, but it is profitable if you know what you're doing. So just to keep an idea of like, these are what my life skills look like and the levels of what I do the most. So that might factor in a little bit as well. So anyway, I think Alchemy is an A, but it's not really new player friendly. It makes a lot of silver, depending on what you're making. Mostly I would say harmonies, various elixirs to turn into the harmonies, and then a few other things. So yeah, is it good for silver? Yeah, but is it new player friendly? Not really so much. All right. Next thing we have, I believe this is bartering. Yeah, what do I say about bartering? It's kind of like playing a different game entirely. It's kind of like trading, but in the ocean. It's kind of one of those things you do semi-AFK. It doesn't make a lot of silver, but it makes more silver than if you were just doing nothing in the game. So I think I would just put this at like C because it's something you have to do eventually if you like ocean content, and it's very limited by the amount of parlay you use, and so the amount of barters you can do is limited. So it's one of those things where if you're trying to make your own carrack or, you know, any sort of boat, you have to do it, but it's not the most profitable thing. So yeah. Cooking is low key. Well, it's not even low key. Everyone knows cooking is good. I would say it's an S tier. The thing is, if you are trying to get into cooking, you have to keep up on top of your materials regularly, and you also have to watch the market because prices go up and down for cooking very rapidly. So even if I were to tell you what is good to make today, it literally could just be down at minimum tomorrow. So it's one of those things where a lot of people keep it on the low of what is good to sell. But at the same time, if you know what you're doing, it's very profitable. And also, it's actually very easy to learn, even if you're just making stuff for yourself, like, you know, various cron meals and stuff. So it kind of goes in with a lot of other life skills, like gathering. You get all your materials, and then you just make your own food. Also, they have mass cooking, which saves a lot of time these days, and it's just, you know, very good. So cooking on the high end of silver, but you kind of have to know what you're doing. And even if it also gets S because it's beginner friendly. Even if you're not making the most profit, it's something you do for Imperial delivery as well, which is, you know, just easy money. And yeah, overall, pretty good. Now we have farming. This life skill got buffed recently, and it gives you more of the byproduct or the blush leaf, and you use those to get more contribution points. Or like tier 9 horse materials and everything. So I think last time I probably put this in like a B or C rank. Now I would say it's A if you were going for contribution points, which, you know, overall affects all your life skills, whether you're doing workers and nodes and everything. But it's not so much for the silver. You could use it, but I would say most people are using farms to grow the materials they need for cooking or alchemy. So it's kind of like you grow the materials that are your bottlenecks and stuff you don't think is fun to gather. But also, ever since the buff, it's actually pretty good for, you know, contribution points as well. All right. Next, we have fishing. Everyone knows fishing is an S rank. You make a lot of money for just not playing the game. Just go to Velia Coast, and you just wake up with $1 billion or $2 billion silver on the regular. So yeah, I have videos talking about how to get started with fishing. I'll leave those in the description if you care. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just AFK fish and come back with more money. And we could go into more details on like where to fish, but I think in the Calpheon Ball, they talked about wanting to boost all the other fishing spots up to Velia for what that's worth. So I think, you know, that should make more spots, you know, equal to each other, which I think is good. But yeah, fishing, very profitable and very low effort. Also, for the record, that I'm not putting these in like fishing is better than cooking. I'm just putting them in the S like tier ranks. Okay, so next we have gathering. Gathering is S rank. Ever since they made the change where you get more of the fairy breath, which, you know, we talked about that in the other video. People are, you know, saying it's hard to get. I understand, but nowadays gathering is very profitable simply because the fairy breath, you could exchange it for sharps, and when you have a lot of sharps, you obviously need it for alchemy stone upgrading, enhancing, and so there's a lot of different things to use it on. And so they're like max price now, or at least 5-6 billion silver or million silver each. And yeah, it's very profitable if you have enough energy. And yeah, gathering is just actually really good now. It wasn't bad before, but now it's just extra good. So yep, there's that. Hunting. I'm gonna put this in. This is hard to say. It's either S or A, simply because hunting is actually very high silver. However, it does require a bit of an investment to get started into doing it. And it's also active to the point where you actually have to learn how to be pretty decent at it as well. So it's not as easy as like obviously gathering or fishing, but it's more like something you learn over time. So that's why like I would say hunting is up there with competitive high-end grinding spots. But at the same time, it's, I don't know, when they're talking about life skills, it requires more effort, but it does make a lot of silver. So I don't know, it's either S or A. I'd probably put it in between A and S, but if I were to, without adding extra like tiers to it, I would honestly put it in S. It's just good, but it requires investment and actually a little bit of learning to know like what to do. Processing is processing. It hasn't really changed in ever since, like, you know, years. It's the same thing as it's always been. So if you have a lot of materials, go process them. If you don't have a lot of materials, literally you just do another life skill. So it's not bad, it's just not really great either. It's just B rank is actually just this, I think the same thing as I put it last time. Sailing is just like playing a different game entirely. I don't know if I would put it in, I would put this in its own category just because sailing is different. But ever since they made the change with you could sell carracks and you could sell boat gear now, people just make carracks and enhance boat gear just to sell it. So I would probably also put this in B rank because it does take some time to actually make it. And where the silver comes in is from selling boat gear and the boats itself. But I don't know. It's like, I feel like it's unfair because sailing is just like playing a different game entirely. It's kind of like grinding, but in the ocean in a way. So there's that. If you like sailing, it's probably an S tier for you, but in terms of just everything, I would say it's just different. Okay. Trading. Trading is a kind of dead life skill. You know, the main purpose for trading used to be you get like an item from one town and then you sell it into another town. It's kind of like bartering, but on land. Then they removed that from the game. So all we have for bartering right now is royal workshops and trade crates. For all of you who don't know, is like, let's say you have like ores or timbers or saps or something, you turn those into crates and then you sell the crates by distance, and then that's where your silver comes in. So it's one of those things where you just collect enough materials after like 6 months or a year, and then, you know, you start packaging them and then start making the crates, and then once a year you probably just do a fat turn in and make a couple billion silver. So yeah, it's not really great. It's one of those things that people just remember to do like once a year and then they just do it. So it's not really something that you do. It's just an AFK. You build up materials and then you send it like every now and then. Perlibis said they were going to rework trading, but they said that like, what, 3 years ago or something, and then we haven't heard anything since then. So here we are. All right, horse training. I would say horse training is an A because they buffed it, and you can now get higher level horses, and also like the tier 8s are a little bit more common, like 7 and 8s. But here's the thing. It's still RNG. It's not consistent silver. You could do it one day and make what, like 3 billion or 2 or 3 billion silver an hour. And some hours you just don't find anything good and you make like 500 to 1 bill an hour. So it's very inconsistent, but it's better than it was last time I made this video. So yeah, with that said, I think overall horse training is pretty good. It's not much to say about that one. It's better than it was before. If you like doing it, great. There's nothing new mechanically that's changed, but it's just now that you can get better tier horses nowadays than you were like last year. So yeah, that's my tier list of, you know, life skills. If I were to say, if you were to look at everything I've done, I would say probably gathering for me makes the most amount of silver, and then followed by fishing and then cooking. Like, this is how I would order it if I were doing, like, you know how people do the tier list of the one to the left is like the best one. This is probably how I would do it. For me personally, like, hunting I think is very competitive with gathering, but it also requires more work. But for me, it would be this way. Well, actually, if in terms of most amount of silver, it would probably look something like this. Oh my god, move. It would probably be like that. And then in terms of A ranking, yeah, I would say, assuming you are high-end alchemy, this is probably what it looks like. Bartering and sailing, just literally a different game entirely, or different life skill in its own category. Processing really depends on how much materials you have to process it, and then trading is literally you do this once a year for trade crates. But until they rework it, this is what I would say my life skill tier list looks like. But ultimately, beginner friendly. Start with gathering and then fishing. I would try cooking as well, just to, you know, get it up to guru. Start doing imperial boxes daily, even if you aren't actually cooking much yourself and just buying like meals and then turning it into crates and then boxes and to imperial it. It's fine. So gathering, very good. They're all good, but new players, gathering is probably the best one to do. For new players, at least set up your farms, because those give you the blush leaf, and those will probably get your contributions up, points up pretty quickly. I don't think new players really have to worry about alchemy as much, simply because it's not something most people have to worry about. Like, if you just make enough silver and buy harmonies off the market, that's fine. But if you're profiting off of it, that's cool too. Training itself is one of those if you like doing it, it's probably fun, but if you don't like doing it, then just don't do it. It's not that big of a deal. Selling and bartering, if you try it out, if you ever get burnt out of life skilling or grinding and you want to do something different, just try doing that. It's kind of fun, actually. It's very relaxing. I remember going for my Carrack like 5 or 6 years ago, and I thought, here's my plan. I'm gonna spend like an hour or two in the ocean every day building up like materials for my Carrack and then go back to grinding. Turns out I was just in the ocean for most of the day. It's a lot easier to get a Carrack now, but I think sailing and bartering is actually just very chill. Try it if you want to try something new in the game. And then processing is material based, how many workers and nodes you have. But yeah, that's what I would say is my life skill tier list for silver, for fun, and ultimately, you know, this is just my opinion. So with that said, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a good day. We got a bunch of videos coming up in the near future for a lot of other stuff. We got some new stuff coming out next week from the patch, and we have about like a week and a half left of the creator code. So if you want to support me and you're buying pearls or the game packages in general, just use my code and I get a small portion and a kickback of that as well. Always appreciated, never required. And all that money, like anything I get from it, just goes back into the stream and, you know, improves the qualities of videos and everything. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Peace.